All right, welcome back, Prospect Live viewers. We're back with another 2020 MLB Draft player breakdown. Today we're breaking down Ian Seymour, left-handed pitcher out of Virginia Tech. Of course, joining me, courtesy of perfectgame.org, is PG's National Scouting Supervisor, Brian Sakowski. Let's pull up a little bit of video. I have some history with Ian Seymour going back to 2017, where he pitched right down the road from me at St. John's High School in Shrewsbury, Massachusetts. Won a D1 state championship here in Massachusetts. Was the player of the tournament at that time. It was a mid to sort of maybe 88 on the fastball when he was really pumping it. Through a slider, through a curveball, through a changeup. A lot of it was junk. Nothing was really plus. There were all a bunch of different fringe offerings that he could throw for strikes. But year by year, he has really progressed at Virginia Tech and took a huge step forward, even from when I saw him. And you're watching some of this video right here during the summer with Yarmouth Dennis down the Cape. Took a really big step forward, made some mechanical tweaks, especially in his lower half, allowed him to get a little bit more ride up in his four-seam fastball. That's tunneled better with the changeup. And, it led to, improved results. I know he didn't have necessarily the strongest competition early on in the season, but he was missing a ton of bats, and he was, attacking the zone a lot differently than he had previously. Brian, I know that you guys had, I think, Seymour ranked highest on your top 400 for the draft. Based on any publication, I think you guys were the highest at 50. So talk to me a little bit about what you saw with Ian Seymour and why you guys are relatively high on him.
Yeah, Seymour's a guy that I saw last year when he was a sophomore, and I saw him throw well against Wake Forest. Not great, but solid. And I had like a group 3 follow, which for us is 4 to 7, somewhere in there. Like, hey, yeah, that's not bad. It was kind of like you described what he was in high school. It was a mix of 4 pitches that were anywhere between 45 and 55, and he threw enough strikes and this, that, the other thing. But it was somewhat limited. This stuff was a little limited. Yeah. So fast forward to this year, and you talk about the improvements he made in the offseason and even from when he was on the Cape, which is more recently than I saw him. And the way the fastball has improved metrically, the way he's getting more four-seam ride than he had in the past, the way he's able to miss bats at the top of the zone with that. And despite average velocity, he's an 88, 93 guy. Not, doesn't overpower you, but the difference in the fastball now is stark. And not to mention the fact that his changeup has gone from a 50 or a 55 pitch to a 70. That's probably been the biggest thing, the biggest reason he's jumped up. And he's a guy who checks a lot of boxes for the analytically inclined teams. He checks a lot of boxes for the teams who value the metrics. I think he's a guy who is going to go higher than where maybe even the raw stuff would say he should, even on the eye test. And so we juiced him up pretty good. Like you said, we have him in late 40s, right around 50, something like that. I think he's got a chance to go right there. I think there's a couple teams right in the 50s there who would target him, and if he's available, would jump at it. We'll see. You don't want to give too much away there, but it's a guy who we're comfortable being higher on just because of the things that we've gleaned, via various contacts. And you and I have talked off air about those things, but guy who's taken a lot of steps forward, but at the same time, it's maybe even better than some are realizing.
Yeah, I think, that's the case. He's one of those guys that over the last probably month or two, when I started digging on some of the tape, talked to some folks that, are around Virginia Tech, and there was a big improvement. I think this was a guy that was maybe 160, 165, somewhere in that range, coming out of the Cape in terms of my big board. And he's jumped up from, I think, the 80s to, even digging in a little bit more to somewhere around, 60 to 50, somewhere in that range. So I totally agree. And he's a guy that I think keeps on moving up boards and now potentially has, some day one buzz. So that's really interesting. But there you have it. Ian Seymour, left-handed pitcher, Virginia Tech. Brian, thanks for joining me. And everybody out there, thanks for tuning in once again. We'll be back next week.